Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti
Suryakoటి
Samaprabha
Samaprabha
Nirvignam
Nirvignam
Kuru
Kuru
Me
Me
Deva
Deva
Sarvakaryeshu
Sarvakaryeshu
Sarvada
Sarvada
Saraswati
Saraswati
Namastubhyam
Namastubhyam
Varade
Varade
Kamarubini
Kamarubini
Vidyarambam
Vidyarambam
Karishyami
Karishyami
Siddhir
Siddhir Bhavatu
Bhavatume
Me Sada
Sada Guru
Guru
Brahma
Brahma
Guru
Guru
Vishnu
Vishnu
Guru
Guru Devo
Devo
Maheshwaraha
Maheshwara Guru
Guru
Sakshat
Sakshat Param
Brahma
Brahma Tasmai
Tasmai
Shri
Shri
Gurave
Gurave
Namaha
Namaha Om
Om Sahana Vavadu
Sahana
Sahano
Bhutto
Bhunaktu Saha
Sahaviryam
Viryam
Karavavahe
Karavavare Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahe
Om
Om
Shanti
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 Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha
Atha Dvidiyodhyayam
Atha Dvidiyodhyayaha
Shri Bhagavatam
Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Nasato Vidyate Bhavaha
Nasato Vidyate Bhavaha
Na Bhavo Vidyate Sataha
Na Bhavo Vidyate Sataha
Ubhayorapi Drishtantah
Ubayorabhidrishtontaha
Tanayostattvadashibhihi.
Tvanayostatvartarshibihi.
We are reading from the Gita Home Study. An important shloka, a long commentary, and therefore an elaboration is done here. Sataha bhavaha na asataha bhavaha na. So, therefore, Sat alone exists. Asat is also Sat. Mithya is Satyam, but Satyam is not Mithya. So, in every perception, there are two cognition, two buddhi, Sat buddhi and Asat buddhi. Asat buddhi is this object buddhi. The object keeps changing, but the Sat buddhi doesn't change. The isness doesn't change. What is the Sat that is. That is alone is Chit as knowledge, as consciousness, as Chaitanya. In the in the buddhi, the buddhi vritti. The buddhi vrittis are illumined by the Chit consciousness that alone is. So, in the presence of Chit, the consciousness, Chit Chaitanya, everything comes under, everything gains existence. Everything is perceived, gains existence. Therefore, that everything when we say the Namarupa goes away, yes, alone will be the, and that, yes, the Sat is this Chitta. So, with reference to the perception, the perceived object, it is Asti, is. With reference to me, the perceiver, it is am. I am. So therefore, there is no difference between the two. It is same. Therefore, Sat, the existence is I am the existence. When it refers to me, that I am the existence. and that is I. I is the knowledge, the consciousness. So that always is there. I am for consciousness is. That is Sadbuddhi. So, therefore, Tattvadarshibhihi, the knowers of the truth, Tattvam. Tattvam, it's an abstract noun, Tasya Bhava Tattvam. So that is Tattvam meaning, Tattva means Brahma, Tattvam means the reality, therefore the truth, the nature of Brahma. That is the next topic, the truth of Brahman, Brahma. Tattva is often said to mean reality, but in fact it is a Swarupa of Brahma. Tasya Bhava Tattvam. The Brahma, that Brahma is unqualified existence. It cannot have any adjective. Unqualified existence, Satyam, knowledge, Jnanam, limitless, Ananta, pure, Shuddha, timeless, Nitya, etc. can be understood through the various implied meanings, the Lakshanas of these words. Brahma is the cause of the world, Jagat Karanam, and at the same time, it itself is Satyam, Jnanam, and Ananta. This then is a Swarupa of Brahma, and it is called Tattvam. Brahma is not only Satya, but it is a Karana for everything. Therefore, everything is Brahma. Brahma plus all names and forms is all that is here. So, therefore, the Namarupa being Mithya. So, what is there is Brahma alone, Sarvam, Brahma Eva. So, what is there is only Sat. Therefore, there is nothing other than Sat. The Sat, the existence is Brahma. And that is Jnanam, the knowledge, the consciousness. And it is not bound by time, not bound by space. It is complete, therefore Purnam Anantaha. Therefore Satchit Ananda. Satchit Ananda. Satchidananda Brahma. Thus, those people who know the truth of Brahma, Tattvadarshinaha, understand both Sat and Asat. Both must be known. Sat is Sat, Asat is Asat. Asat depends upon Sat, but Sat doesn't depend upon Asat. Those who know the truth of everything, the Tattvadarshinaha, they are called Panditaha. Panditaha, Pandita Nana Shochanti Panditaha iti. Bhagavan Krishna said in the 11th shloka, Panditaha. Panda means Jnana. The one who has Jnana is called Pandita. So they are Tattvadarshinaha. The ones who, as we saw earlier, do not come to grief. Yes. Panditaha na Anushochanti. Why? Because they know the truth. Now, why are you sad? Is it due to Asat or Sat? If you say you are sad because Asat is going, you must see that going is the nature of Asat, and that is not real. Asat has the nature of changing, therefore it is unreal, ever changing, constantly subject to change. Therefore, you cannot cry for the Asat. When one's understanding of Satyam is lacking, then Mithya becomes Satya, resulting in confusion. When Viveka are not there, then Mithya becomes Satya, therefore, as happened to Arjuna, that will result in confusion. Without Satyam, there is no Mithya. Mithya must be understood as Mithya and Satyam as Satyam. Only then does everything fall into its own place. Satyam doesn't elicit any sorrow, and Mithya doesn't have a status to cause sorrow. If there is sorrow, then that is also Mithya. The confusion between Satya and Mithya. There's a well-known story that illustrates the confusion between Satyam and Mithya. It is as follows. In the court of a particular king, there were two scholars. One was an Advaiti, who said that Brahma was Satyam and the world Jagat was Mithya. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. He talked about this constantly, Vedanta being nothing but a discussion of Satya and Mithya, cause and effect, Karana Karyavada. He told the king that Karanam was Satyam and the Karyam was Mithya, the Jagat was Mithya. The whole Jagat, including one's body, was Karya, and therefore Mithya. There was nothing away from that Brahma, and that Satyam, Brahma was independent of everything. The king did not understand what this scholar was saying, but he liked the idea. There was a fascinating aspect to it. because it said that he was wonderful, that he was Brahma, and so on. The king found it pleasant to get up to each morning. It was good for his mental health, at least. The second scholar was a dualist, Dvaiti, who kept telling the king that he was not Brahma. The Brahma was the cause of the whole Jagat Kalam, and that he was a product, subject to Papam and Punyam. If he did the right things, he would get some time in heaven. And if he didn't, he would go to more unpleasant places such as Naraka. This scholar maintained that what he was saying was the truth as stated in the Shastra. He even backed up his statements by quoting Vedanta in his daily teaching. The king listened to both of these scholars because he wanted to be impartial, although he generally slept the second scholar's class. This made the second scholar a little jealous of the other one, who seemed to be getting more attention from the king. This time, the time came when the king went on a big pilgrimage, accompanied by a large retinue, including his two teachers. As they walked through a forest which was infested with many wild animals, they were confronted by a huge elephant with enormous tusks. The first scholar spied the elephant first and cried out, "Elephant, Maharaj, elephant." He then began to run, and of course, everyone else ran too. It should be remembered that these Advaitis are all very alert people, and because they understand things as they are absolutely practical also. Because they are not encumbered by projections, problems, or shadows, they are free to deal with things objectively. And so this scholar was the first to see the elephant and run. The king also ran along with the Dvaiti and the others. After this adventure was over, the king decided to camp and start out again the next day, when there had been time to check for safety. While the king was relaxing, the second scholar went to him and said, "Oh Lord, did you see how our Advaita Guru ran?" The king remarked that he indeed had run very well. In fact, he reached safety before any of the others. "That's what I mean," said the Dvaiti. "He says the world is Mithya, and yet he ran from away from the elephant. If the world is Mithya, then the elephant also must be Mithya. Why did he run away from Mithya elephant? Everything he has been teaching is all so much verbal nonsense. That is why, Maharaj, I told you that there is no Mithya. Everything is Satyam." The second scholar then pressed his point a little further, saying, "I don't understand his running, given what he teaches. Perhaps Maharaj understands it better." The king also found that it did not make sense to him. So he summoned the first scholar and asked him to explain himself. Out of respect for his teacher, the king gave him an opportunity to explain himself. He said, "Sir, you said everything is Mithya. Therefore, the elephant is also Mithya, is it not?" The scholar agreed that this was correct. "Then why did you run away from the elephant?" the king asked. "Maharaj," scholar replied, "the elephant is indeed Mithya. But when did I tell that? When did I tell you that running away was Satyam? Running is also Mithya. Please find any sorrow or fear in me. There is none. I just did what was to be done. This is the vision." Vedanta says that everything is Satyam, the standpoint of the Sadbuddhi. Everything is Mithya, from the standpoint of the Asat. The vision doesn't exclude anything. We have to understand everything. Any action, karma is Mithya. For example, we talk of running as an action. But if we do some inquiry into the so-called action, we see that we cannot categorically say what is running. Whether lifting the leg is running or placing the foot is running, we cannot say. This is true of any action. Therefore, it is all Mithya. The person performing the action, the karta is Mithya, as its action Kriya. Therefore, the whole thing is Mithya. The Atma is Satyam. Once you see both Satya and Mithya very clearly, as a Pandita do, there is no reason for sorrow. Lord Krishna has shown that what is Satya, self-existent, doesn't have abhava at any time, meaning that there is no end, no non-existence for it. Ataha abhavaha na vidyate. Rasat being only a name and form, depending upon the Satya, has real no bhava, no real being. Therefore, it is Vidya. So, therefore, Mithya has got no real abhava. Sat has no abhava, it has bhava. Mithya is Satyam, but Satyam is not Yeah. When we say this, Jagat is Nitya. Jagat is the Nama Rupa, Jagat is Nitya. But the Nitya Jagat as a Sadhisthana on Brahma, which is Satya. So Jagat is Nitya, but the Adhisthana, Brahma is not Nitya. Brahma is Satya. Jagat as its Adhisthana on the Satya Brahma. Therefore, minus Nama Rupa, the Jagat, what is there is only Sat, Satyam Eva. Therefore, Brahma Satyam. And Jagat, Ramarupa, it is negative. When you negate a Jagat as Nitya, we don't negate the Adhisthana, Sat, Satyam. Nitya is, Nitya also has enjoys existence because of Satyam. Therefore, it is all the way Satyam, Brahma Eva. The Satyam Nitya, this is from the standpoint of the Karana Karya Sambandha. One is the Karana, another one is the Karana. Clay is the Karana, pot is the Karana. When Karya itself is dismissed as Nitya, just Nama Rupa, Karya itself is looked upon as, say, the Karya pot. Kata is the pot is nothing but clay. Minus clay doesn't exist. Therefore, what is there is only clay. Before clay, before the production of pot, it is clay. After the production of pot, it is clay only. It is all the way clay. So therefore, where is pot? Really, pot doesn't exist. Really, pot doesn't exist. This is Praudavada. This is Praudavada, where the existence of pot itself is negated. Pot is doesn't exist. Therefore, this Jagat, when we say, from the standpoint of the Sat, it is Nitya, it has no real existence. The inexplicability of Nitya. What is Nitya then? It is neither Bhava nor Abhava. It is neither Sat, Asadvyam, Anirvachaniyam. It doesn't have an existence of its own, nor it is totally non-existent. Very important. It is not Tucham, nor it is totally non-existent. We are not talking about a totally, completely, absolutely non-existent thing. We are talking about a thing which exists but not on its own. That is Nitya. So three words are the Sat, Nitya, Sat, Asat, Tucham. Yes, Sat meaning Nitya, not Tucham. Tucham means that which doesn't exist. In fact, we cannot talk about that which doesn't exist at all. What we can talk, even the word, what we can use is that which exists. We cannot talk about an unexistent, non-existent thing. When we talk about a man's horn, that is also existing only. Man exists and non-existent. In the dream, both are combined. Therefore, man's horn enjoys existence, the subjective reality. So, may not man and the horn not there, but both exist. So you cannot conceive of anything which is completely non-existent. So therefore, it is neither bhava nor bhava. It doesn't have existence. Bhava means neither bhava means doesn't have existence of its own. Nor bhava doesn't have as if it is not completely, totally non-existent. It is something in between. That is why indefinable, inexplicable, which is what we mean that Nitya is inexplicable. There are others who say that reality, Vastu Asat is inexplicable. The vision of Vedanta is just the opposite. Only the Vastu can be unfolded. Otherwise, by implication and everything else is inexplicable, Anirvachaniyam, indefinable, indescribable. Can truth be defined? It is generally thought that truth cannot be defined, whereas we say that truth alone can be defined. Everything else can be only conditionally defined, and so requires further definition. Therefore, any definition of an object is asat mithya is a point of view subject to further definition. Being neither sat existent nor tuchya, totally non-existent. How can mithya be defined? There is no explicability for mithya. That there is no explicability is its explanation. We are not just getting lost in mithya and then saying it is not explainable at all. It is inexplicable in the sense that it cannot be categorically be defined as this is Satya, because our definition of Satya is that it is not negated at any time Trikale tishtati iti sat satyam. Because what is never negated at any time is satyam. You cannot say that an object such as a pot is satyam because it did not always exist. Furthermore, it may be broken tomorrow. Nor is it always the same pot, since yesterday it was in one form and today it is in another. Therefore, the pot is also not tucha, not totally not non-existent. It's not totally non-existent. Because if it were totally non-existent, it would not be perceived as known to hold any waters. Therefore, there is such a thing as a pot. Between Sat and Tucha, therefore, there is a reality, which is referred to as Sat. In fact, the technical word for Asat is Vidya, generally Vidya. Although the words Asata, Vidya, and Maya are all used in the Shastra, the ontological definition for this order of reality is Vidya. The ontological is existential reality of this empirical world is Nitya. What is not subject to negation in all the three periods of time, past, present, and future, is Satya. And that which doesn't exist at all in all the three periods of time is Tucha. Therefore, what is there in between? Sat and Tucha. It is Asat, otherwise Vidya. Even Tucha is just a word. You cannot say Tucha, cannot conceive of a completely non-existent thing. Completely non-existing doesn't exist. So therefore, Asat is in between Satya and Tucham. Further, Krishna says, the next shloka, shloka number 17, let us read. Avinashi tu tad vidhi,
अविनाशि तु तत्वेदि
yena sarvavidam tatam,
येन सर्वमिदं ततम्
vinashamavyayasyasya,
विनाश्यमव्ययस्यास्य
akaschit kartumarhati.
न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति.
The shloka also talks about Atma. Atma is Avinashi. Yena sarvamidam tatam Avinashi. Vinashaha na vidyate. Isya. Avinashi. Vinashin. Vinashino, Vinashinha. Na Vinashin. Vinashi. Na Vinashi. So, Avinashi, that which is, it is that which is not subject to destruction. Avinashi, here we can take it as Apumsakalinga. Here it is. Apumsakalinga, what Avinashi. Avinashi tu tat vidhi. May you know that to be Avinashi. Brahma. Brahma is, the word is Apumsakalinga. But Brahma doesn't really doesn't have any linga. May you know that to be Avinashi. That which pervades everything. Brahma. Asya, Aviyasya, that which doesn't change. Asya, Kaschidapi, Vinasham Kartum Argati, Kartum Tuman Pratyaya. To do. No one can do, no one able to do of what? Vinasham, destruction, na Kaschita, Kaschita, someone, na Kaschita, no one. Asya Aviyasya, Aviya is that which is not subject to change. Asya, Brahmanaha, Vinasham Kartum na Arhati. Kaschita, na Arhati. No one can destroy this, therefore Avinashi. Because other than things, people will get destroyed. But really speaking, nobody can destroy them. Only this Nama Rupa, the Sharira Manasangata, the body mentions complex. Anatma alone can destroy it. Atma cannot be destroyed. Avinashi. Know that by which the entire world is pervaded. Yena sarvam idam tatam. Tatam is pervaded. Idam referring to this Jagat. The Jagat which is completely pervaded by that is indestructible. No one can bring about the destruction of that. It doesn't change. So here, Tat refers to Sat. Tat, therefore Avinashi. Tat is Napumsakalinga. Tat Vidhi, may you know that. Tat is Sat, for which there is no abhava, and that is understood by the knower of the truth, Tattvadarshi, as stated in the previous shloka. That Sat is not subject to destruction, therefore Avinashi is Vinashi. Moreover, everything that is here, the entire world, is pervaded by this indestructible Sat, Sadatma. Being subject to destruction, the world is Sat, but not Sat. In this verse, Sat and Mithya are made very clear. Sat is other than Asat, whereas Asat is not other than Sat. Important. Actor is the beggar is the actor, but actor is not the beggar. Sat is other than Asat. Asat is not other than Sat. Sadvastu is called Vishnu, a word which is being quietly introduced here by Bhashyakara Shankaracharya. That which pervades everything, meaning that entire world, including space, is called Vishnu. This is Sat. Since there is no Asat, without Sat, the Bhava of Asat is nothing but the Bhava of Sat. So, the Bhava, that existence of Asat, that existence is Sat. For example, the existence of the clay pot is inherent in the existence of the clay. The Bhava belongs to the clay, not to the pot. And when we say the pot is, that is Sat. Therefore, wherever there is Asat, there is Sat. But wherever is that Sat, then there you cannot say Asat is there, you cannot say Sat is there, Asat not there. Asat is there, Sat is there. The Sat enjoys existence because of Asat enjoys existence because of Sat. Sat doesn't enjoy existence because of Asat. It is self-existent. That is why it is Sat. How do we get to that Sat? You don't have to get rid of the Asat in order to get to the Sat. Nor is the Asat sitting upon the Sat, covering it up, just as a pot doesn't cover the clay by sitting on it. You need not destroy the pot in order to know the clay. It is a question of understanding alone. It is just a matter of question of understanding. Another question then arises. When the entire world is pervaded by Sadvastu, is the Sadvastu destroyed and the world is destroyed? No. One is Sat, which is not subject to destruction, another is Asat. When the Asat is destroyed, Sat is not destroyed. Therefore, there is both difference and non-difference here. Non-difference in the sense that all there is Bhava, Sat. And the difference in the sense that while Asat depends upon Sat, Sat doesn't depend upon Asat. Therefore, we say that there is both non-difference and difference. Because there is no really difference, there is no duality and Advaita. The crux of the matter here is B is A, whereas A is not B. The beggar, the actor who plays the role of the beggar is the actor. The actor is not the beggar. So the actor always exists, independent of the beggar, the role beggar. Similarly, the Jagat is Asat, Jagat subject to change. Because Jagat is subject to change, the Jagat which is Adhara and Brahma, that is not subject to change. That remains as it is, without undergoing any change, because it is a Nishtha, Adhara. So, therefore, Sataha, Bhavaha, Bhavaha na vidyate. Therefore, not destructible. Avinashi tu tad vidhi. Yena sarvam idam tatam. Everything is pervaded. Therefore, everything pervaded. When we say everything is Brahma, Eva. And what about this Jagat? It is Nama Matram, Acharam Vikaro, Namadayam. It is just a word. It is just a word, doesn't have real existence. Therefore, only it is between Sat and Sucha. We'll stop here. Then indestructibility of non-living. We'll see. Om Purnamada
Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.